My girlfriend ex cheated on me all the while when we were in college. 24 male here. English is not my first language, so pardon me for the mistakes I make in here. I made this new account as I don't want to post from my main handle. So I saw her 23 first during high school and I instantly fell for her. I became friends with her, eventually she became my girlfriend. She was all I could ever ask for. Smart, intelligent, charming, beautiful and a kind heart. We hang out a lot and talk about anything and everything. I was her best friend and she was mine. We both were virgins and it was mainly her decision to save ourselves till marriage, and I didn't have any problem with that because I couldn't see anyone else as my wife but her. I was so in love. By the end of the high school, I got admitted to one of the best colleges in the country after clearing a rigorous entrance exam for which I had been preparing for about a year, day in and day out. She got admitted to a nearby college in our city. I was blind in love and I made the biggest mistake of my life. I still consider this to be the biggest mistake as I gambled with my career and life. I chose not to go to that college and took admission in the same college she went to so that we can be together. Fast forwarding the story to the final year of college, 4 years later. I went to a nearby cafe with my friend after college hours. Strangely, on that day, he kept asking about my GF and her whereabouts and all, which felt very odd to me. I asked him to be clear about it. He showed me a picture in his phone which I wish I had never seen. It was a photo of my GF riding a guy. He was also in the same year and was the captain of the football team. I was devastated. I didn't want to believe it, but I couldn't ignore the proof. I headed back to my room as I needed some time alone. While I was going back, I saw this same guy practicing in college ground. I don't know why, I decided to confront him. I thought he would be a jerk to me, but surprisingly, he was very polite. He said she hit on him and he didn't know she had a BF until later. Once he knew about it, he pulled out, but his teammates kept seeing her. Yes, my innocent, sweet, virgin girlfriend was letting the whole football team run a train in her and God knows how many more. He said she used to spend her nights with his friends. Yes, she spent her night with some random men getting banged while I woke up all night preparing notes for her so that I can teach her. We both chose different majors, yet I was studied mine as well as hers so that I could prepare notes for her so that she didn't flunk. For 4 long years. For 4 long years she was cheating on me behind my back, sleeping with multiple men at once, and then come to college the next day and kiss me with her lying filthy mouth, assuring me that I was her one. I confronted her. She broke down crying, didn't even try to defend her but kept apologizing. She wasn't sorry until I found out. I got so cold by this time that I hardly cared, yet just for the sake of it I asked her whether she ever thought about me when she got down to this. Her answer: T. Redditor's reaction. Story 2 after. Redditor 1, I'm so sorry to hear she's a piece of trash and wasted your time, but she shouldn't ruin your outlook on life. You're really young, many chances still ahead of you. All that's left for her is to be left with what little dignity she has. I'm so glad you're finally able to say you're over her. Op answer: thanks. Yes, I can say I'm over her, but I am not sure whether I can ever trust anyone completely. It's like sleeping with one eye open. Redditor 2, yeah, you lose the ability to trust when a person does this to you. Because if she can do it, why couldn't anyone else? Best of luck, I hope you can heal. She sounds like a horrible person. I'm sorry she wasted all those years of your time. Op answer: thanks mate. Appreciate it. Indeed, this is what I am afraid of. If she can do it, other won't even give a rat's BTT before backstabbing me for real. Redditor 3, the more you experience, you collect red flags. They help you identify possible scenarios. When you date another girl, you may see these red flags that will help you figure out if you can trust her. For example, maybe you dated someone who always hid their phone from you and that person had been texting someone else, maybe seeing someone else. 1 or 2 red flags are fine. Maybe she or he is texting their mom. But if you see like 20 red flags, don't date that person. Op answer: I understand. And I acknowledge experience is what makes a person wiser. But what is with me now is that I am so scared to experience any more. Or my heart ever further. Those guys were so much fun that you never came to my mind. It was only after I realized that I have a boyfriend. basically saying she enjoyed this. I was done. She begged me to take her back, but no, I can't. I walked off. Today I think I can say that I am over her. But after all this, I don't know whether I can ever trust a woman. Until she finds someone better has stuck to my head, and I can't shake that off. Some might say I would one day find someone who is the one, but I am afraid that I can never trust that one completely. Story 2, 2 years out. Found this site a while ago and read a lot, but never signed up until now. Love this subreddit and want to thank everyone here for being supportive, tough and present for people going through this essay. Many a sleepless night were spent here, reading, thinking, reading and thinking some more. Snippets of my horror, wife cheated with co-worker. I found texts, pics and caught her in lies about traveling for work, all that. She moved in with her mom, I kept the kids for a while. He dumped her not long after and she tried to get back together, but I did my homework and was able to successfully petition for primary. We have managed a cordial relationship in front of the kids, but when they're not in earshot, we don't talk. I don't want to look at her or hear anything she has to say even now. Our kids are youngish pre-teenaged and I'm sure they understand to some degree, but it's been everything I can do to keep them away from any sort of exit from this. But this week was the greatest, brightest week of my life since D-Day. I've had primary custody since D-Day and the papers being signed, but this week my ex-mother-in-law, a sweet woman who apologized to me time and time again for her daughter's actions, wanted to see them, so we worked it out. I was asked on a date by the friend of a friend, my first actual date in years. We went out last night. She took me to a small restaurant owned by a friend of hers, asked me about myself and my situation and let me talk about how I've been feeling for a little bit before we moved past that and talked of other wonderful things. We parted after dinner. She gave me a hug and kiss on the cheek and told me she had a wonderful time, even texted me to make sure I got home okay. I don't drive at night very much and let me know she'd love to see me again and reiterated that she'd had a great time. Standing at my kitchen counter, having a drink of water, it felt like everything hit me at once. The 2 years of laying in bed feeling like I had hot rocks in my stomach, or the burning feeling of anger and jealousy and pain in my chest seeing the text messages and pictures she sent another man. Trying to keep my cool as my ex cried in front of me, begging me to take her back, she didn't mean to hurt me. Standing in court explaining that my wife cheated on me and knowing that people were looking at me, wondering what I did to make her do that. I started crying harder than I've probably ever cried in my life. At first I felt like I was releasing that pent-up anger, jealousy, pain, hurt, anxiety, regret, shame. All of it came out and I realized that this new woman has reached out a hand and pulled me up and made me see that my path is continuing on. I got up and I felt like I'd lost a weight that had been around my neck since D-Day. I feel like me again. I'm not trying to brag or rub it in anyone's face. I hope by posting this that it'll help someone remember that there's a whole planet of people who are good, honest, kind and want to meet you. Obviously when you're buried in acid, you don't think about the shower after, but it's there and it's the best feeling in the world. Thanks for letting me ramble and thanks for everything. Redditor's reaction. Story 3 after. Redditor 1, you're not bragging, you're letting each and every one of us know that we still have a future. Thanks so much for sharing. Redditor follow up. While I do like his history of overcoming the pain, he never needed another woman to validate his worth. Self-respect above all. Redditor 2, what a wonderful, encouraging thing to read. Story 3, my 42M wife F41 of 18 years has numerous health and mental conditions that prevent most sexual activities. Recently she told me she would be okay if I found a sexual partner to meet my sexual needs. I'm not sure what to do. So we're a fairly classic couple story where we have very different libidos. Mine's been high and hers was a bit lower until about 10 years ago. Over the past 10 years she's been diagnosed with multiple health conditions. I don't want to list them all, but needless to say it deeply affects her standard of living and puts me in the role of a caregiver. I love my wife. When we first got married none of these health conditions were present. But if they had been, I still would have married my wife. My real only concern has always been the reduction in our time lives. Over the past 2 years it's been really noticeable, with time occurring once maybe every couple months, with some gaps as long as 6 months. I know my needs aren't really being met, and I struggle greatly to even accept that my S-time needs are important in the face of what she goes through every day. To be clear, she's a hero in my eyes. She faces all her struggles with strength. Even when she falters and has a bad day, she picks herself back up and faces the next day. I feel so guilty feeling bad about wanting S-time, when clearly she's struggling with so much more. She mentioned about a week ago that she knows I stay up late so I can masturbate after she goes to bed, and that she knows that I want more S-time. She told me she feels guilty she can't provide the level S-time activity I desire. And that after taking care of her for so many years I deserve to have these needs met. She ended by saying that I could try to find a S-time partner to fill my needs, but the huge caveat is she doesn't want to know anything about it. This isn't completely out of nowhere. Many years ago, before her illness, we were a pretty experimental couple for S-time. While the drive was lower for her, she was still adventurous. We had a few group S-time activities, and she struggled with some feelings of jealousy. We worked through them and eventually had a few positive encounters with multiple people. She said she knows that after everything we've already gone through that I'm loyal to her, but she's willing to give me the ability to find a S-time partner for meeting my needs. I don't know how I feel about it, especially given the jealousy situation from many years ago. I'm really confused. I have no ethical problem with open relationships, but I am worried this will backfire on me. I'm also worried I simply won't be able to find a partner since I have no idea how to even look after being with someone for nearly 20 years. Truthfully, I'd love to be able to have S-time with someone, and I don't link S-time with love and romance. But how do I even do this if was going to? What does Reddit think? TLDR, my wife has a ton of health conditions that means she can't do much S-time. She recently said I can find a partner to have my S-time needs met. I don't know what to do because I'm definitely interested but worried about consequences. Edit, the reason she doesn't want to know is more due to her lack of self-confidence after years of health issues than jealousy. I just mentioned the jealousy since it had happened in the past. Update. About 2 weeks ago I posted that my sick wife had brought up the subject of finding someone outside our relationship for me to have S-time with. Got a lot of feedback from the post, got called several terrible names in DMs. But in the end, I had a long conversation with my wife, and also we spoke with our therapist about it. S-time is normally not a topic at therapy, but it was in this case. Turns out, my wife's best friend actually brought up the idea and mentioned being willing to help. They had a long conversation about it when her friend came over one day while I was working. My wife talked about how she wished I could still enjoy that part of my life, despite her illness, and her friend mentioned being willing to act as a S-time partner. Her friend is historically polyamorous, currently not with a partner. Many years ago, over 8, we had a very positive group S-time encounter with her and one of her partners at the time. They have apparently been talking about it quite a bit over several weeks, and my wife is comfortable with the idea and feels much more comfortable with it assuming the person is her friend. When I asked her about the don't ask, don't tell, my wife mentioned she's okay knowing that it's going on in the background. She just doesn't want to see it or hear it. She essentially doesn't want to know any details, she doesn't want to feel being compared to, and she is okay if I find someone other than her friend but really wants the trust level to be similar. I talked about a professional S-time worker, and she was okay with it, but she did have an issue with the potential cost. In the end, she said we should talk to her friend about what things might look like. I don't mind her friend, and certainly, we had fun many years ago during that one group S-time encounter. Her friend actually helped me take care of my wife a few times a few years ago. I had hurt my back, and her friend came to take over helping to bathe my wife. I trust her almost as much as my wife. She definitely would never hurt my wife, and is one of those friends you consider family. Her friend and I get along very well, and honestly it might work. Our therapist recommended we do some reading on polyamory as well as recommended a few books. The therapist brought up the idea of developing feelings for this other partner. And my wife, for the first time, mentioned that she is okay with some romantic feels, but wants to be informed as soon as those develop. The therapist agreed it's a unique situation and was pretty supportive. Our next step is me having a conversation with her friend one-on-one, and then deciding if we are going through with this. Life is strange, people. Redditors' reactions. Redditor 1. What makes me nervous about this one is that it sounds like the wife only started bringing up the open relationship idea after the friend talked to her about it, and the friend just so happened to offer herself as a potential partner. Makes me feel like the friend just wanted to sleep with the wife's husband without having to deal with the fallout of cheating. Add in the discussion about romantic feelings, and this just sounds like it's gonna end messily and painfully. Redditor follow up. That's what stopped me. I just feel bad for this couple, but I feel like maybe they shouldn't go with the one who came up with the whole idea and promptly offered, especially since they already have a sexual history with her. I hope my gut is wrong, but I agree completely that this sounds like it won't end well. Redditor 2. I'm not sure how to feel about this one. I really hope it goes well, but there's just so much potential for hurt feelings and so many ways that things might go wrong. Redditor 3. Oh, this will be a shit show.